Well, it turns out the source that was talking to Puck Empire on the weekend was correct. We do have ourselves a Montreal and Anaheim NHL trade. The Ducks have acquired former underrated Habs prospect Sean Farrell in exchange for Sasha Pastujov. That's it. It is a 1-for-1 deal. Pastujov from Anaheim in exchange for Sean Farrell from Montreal. Let's go out there and read the press release on the Montreal Canadiens website over here. Canadiens acquire forward Sasha Pastujov from the Anaheim Ducks. Pastujov played 71 games with the San Diego Gulls in the AHL in 2025-2026, tallying 57 points. The 6-foot, 186-pound forward led his team in assists and points in addition to ranking second in goals. A Bradenton, Florida native, Pastujov had scored 48 goals and 77 assists in 160 AHL games since making his debut in 2023-2024. The 23-year-old forward participated in the 2022 World Junior Championship, where he recorded 4 points in 5 contests with Team USA. Pastujov was selected by the Ducks in the 3rd round, 66th overall of the 2021 NHL Entry Draft. Now, that is a pretty bare report. All it does is it just gives us some tail of the tape basic info on this guy. Let's go out there and read some of these other tweets that try to give us a bit more info. Sean Farrell has been traded from the Canadiens and the Ducks in exchange for Sasha Pastujov. Farrell was a 2020 4th-round pick who had 53 points in 72 AHL games last season. Meanwhile, Pastujov, a 2021 3rd-round pick who had 57 points in 71 AHL games last season. I don't know about you, but just thinking about these two statistical breakdowns, Pastujov is a year younger, he is a round earlier, and he had 4 more points in 1 fewer game in the AHL this most recent campaign. I'd say the Montreal Canadiens did come out on top, just looking at the breakdown of who these players are, how old they are, what round they were drafted in, and how many points they had in how many games this most recently completed AHL season. No big deal. Pastujov just casually beats Farrell in every single category. Byron Bader said that this trade is interesting. The model has been relatively optimistic about both Pastujov and Farrell, but they are both at the point that they might just be lifetime AHL players. For what it's worth, Pastujov is a year and a half younger and had a higher starting point at the draft than Farrell. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Pastujov, 6 feet, 174, was always bigger than Sean Farrell, who's 5'9", 179, at the time of these player cards developments. We're not going to pretend like height and stuff do not matter when it comes to NHL prospects, but for Sean Farrell, he was always going to have a more difficult road to go down because of those size issues. For what it's worth, the Byron Bader model labels Pastujov as a developing forward, and it also labels Sean Farrell as a bust forward. That's tough, right? But you think about some of the production and you think about the numbers for Sean Farrell, he now has like an 83% chance of being an NHL player. Pastujov has a 62% chance. It is all over the place here. It's kind of funny, though, because if you look at it, the comparable players for Sean Farrell on the full comparisons, you've got guys like Henrik Sedin, Alexander Zhuravsky, Ethan Wittenbach. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I don't think Sean Farrell is going to become Henrik Sedin at any point throughout his NHL career. Sedin was an Art Ross winner, a Hart winner, and a Hall of Famer. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Sasha Pastujov, you look at his full comparisons, you've got guys like Quinton Byfield, Keith Primo, Kiefer Bellows, and Capo Caco. That's a lot more localized, I would say. Even when you consider the fact that Quinton Byfield is a guy that I think a lot of people thought was going to be an immediate number 1 center. Either way, we have some other info here. Puckpedia said that both of these guys require waivers this upcoming season, so really this does seem to be a change of scenery type move. If a guy like Sean Farrell is able to work his way onto the Anaheim Ducks, then that would be super awesome for him. Sasha Pastujov just has a little bit of a better profile compared to Sean Farrell. He's a little bit bigger, he has a little bit more production under his belt, he's a little bit younger, he works out just a tad more than Sean Farrell does if you were to try to project these players as NHL athletes. Pastujov, if he is a 13th forward, then I'd say that's a pretty good bet for the Montreal Canadiens. We already spoke about this in our first Sean Farrell trade report video, that the Canadiens are kind of set in stone. You think about all the guys that they have in their organization, and the forward core is kind of filled out. Montreal Canadiens, he is unsigned, so he needs a contract. Okay, that's going to be pretty interesting to pay attention to. But you look at the roster, you look at all the forwards that the Montreal Canadiens have. Just count up all the names from Texier, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Newhook, Kapanen, Evans, Demidov, Deneau, Doc, Caulfield, Anderson. That is already a number of guys that will take up 11 out of the 12 forward spots. If we head over to Puckpedia, we'll see some of the other names that are located in this range of the team. Just count all of the 12 forwards over here. Brett Berard has a contract, so he also fits the bill. Zach Bolduc needs a new deal as well. Kirby Dach is a one-and-done potential player. And then you have some other names here too. Florian Jacki, does he actually make the team? Going against what Grant McKegg reported. Owen Beck is a possibility, and then I guess you have Sasha Pastujov as well. The Montreal Canadiens will be looking for some of the final names to fill out the last spots on their roster. Sasha Pastujov seems like he could be an interesting fit there. I remember back when he was draft eligible, he was seen as a really interesting name. He was very productive for the NTTP back in the day, and inevitably played some pretty good hockey in the OHL the years to come afterwards. Pastujov has only been a pro for 3 seasons so far. Sean Farrell, he's had a little bit longer than that. He wrapped up his 2022-2023 as a pro with Montreal and then had 3 straight AHL campaigns afterwards. Pastujov's 3 straight years included some time in the ECHL as well, although he was always pretty productive with San Diego, especially last year where he had 45 points in 43 games. This most recent season, he did barely outscore Sean Farrell with 57 points in 71 games. You take a look at it, Sasha Pastujov was ranked by some as a late first, early second round pick. Depends on who you ask, but he inevitably did become a third round player. Sean Farrell, as we had mentioned, he was ranked to go a lot higher too than he actually went. He was a 40 to 50-ish ranked guy. Some had him in the 70s and the 80s, but he ended up going 124th, primarily because he was small. We did mention this, but I didn't really think of Sean Farrell as a Pat Verbeek kind of guy. He just didn't really fit that build. But now, I guess he's going to be going over. He requires waivers, so you got to hope that at least the Ducks think of him as an NHL player. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, though. Farrell for Pastujov, it is a 1-for-1 trade between the Habs and the Ducks. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.